Yes, ma'am. Water. All right. Thank you, ma'am. And just a reminder, you're still under oath, okay?
Of course, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, your question?
Amber, just to orient you and the jury, at this time, we are in the rebuttal to your counterclaim against Mr. Depp. So I'm going to confine my questions to that, okay?
All right.
How have you suffered publicly as a result of the Depp-Waldman statements?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
I am harassed, humiliated, threatened every single day. Even just walking into this courtroom, sitting here in front of the world, having the worst parts of my life, things I've lived through, used to humiliate me. People want to kill me, and they tell me so every day. People want to put my baby in the microwave, and they tell me that. Johnny threatened, promised me that if I ever left him, he'd make me think of him every single day that I lived.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain the objection as to that, if you want to ask the question.
Amber, how did Mr. Depp's statements and threats to you that you were discussing, how do those continue to manifest themselves today?
In the harassment, in the humiliation, the campaign against me that's echoed every single day on social media and now in front of cameras in this room. Every single day I have to relive the trauma. My hands shake. I wake up screaming. I have to live with the trauma and the damage done to me. My friends have to live with a set of unspoken rules about how to not scare me.
Objection, hearsay.
Yes, sir.
Unspoken rules
not hearsay.
Overruled. Go ahead.
about how to not touch me, not to surprise me. My intimate partners have rules about how they can deal with me, how they can touch me. I have rules for doctors, medical professionals I see, gynecologists I see. I live my life with these sets of rules that I have to follow, my friends have to follow for me not to have a panic attack or a triggering event where I relive the trauma. Even if I'm training to do my movie, for instance, if I'm training for Aquaman, a combat scene and a trigger happens, I have a meltdown and have to deal with that. The crew I work with have to deal with that because of the damage I walk around with every single day from what I've lived through, from what I've survived. I'm not sitting in this courtroom snickering. I'm not sitting in this courtroom laughing, smiling, and making snide jokes. I'm not. This is horrible. This is painful. And this is humiliating for any human being to go through. And perhaps it's easy to forget that, but I'm a human being. And even though Johnny promised that I deserve this and promised he'd do this, I don't deserve this. I want to move on. The statements, the attacks on me, the campaign, that Johnny has elicited millions of people to do on his behalf when he himself
Objection, Your
couldn't
Honor,
do
lack
it.
of foundation.
Torture me every day.
Speculation.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Amber, how have the Depp-Waldman statements impacted your ability to do charitable work?
You know, the only reason that people like Dr. Curry can sit up here on the stand and say I'm high functioning and I do things like have hobbies and have interests is
Objection,
because I'm not.
non-responsive.
Your Honor, Mr. Depp gave long-winded responses yesterday.
Overruled. Go ahead.
It's because I found a solution to that pain. I woke up every morning with panic attacks and trauma until I realized I could do something with it. So to answer your question, Ben, I was able to turn the things that I've lived through, my pain, my life experiences, into work, into action, into providing a voice for other people. I'm not a saint. I'm not trying to present myself as one, as you all know, but I selfishly found relief in being able to use what I've lived through to advocate for others, to bring light to these issues, to give a voice to people who don't have the voice and the platform that I have. And while I would not wish this situation on my worst enemy, if it gives a voice to someone who doesn't have it. But I now, as I stand here today, can't have a career. I can't even have people associate with me because of the threats and the attacks that they have to endure.
Objection,
when they are.
non-responsive.
And I can't do my charity work.
Sustain the objection.
Amber, other than the threats that you've described, what other threats have you endured since the Depp-Waldman statements were made?
I receive hundreds of death threats regularly, if not daily. Thousands since this trial has started. People mocking my testimony about being assaulted, making fun of my...
Objection, relevance. Non-responsive.
Goes to damages. You can continue.
It's been agonizing, painful, and the most humiliating thing I've ever had to go through. I hope no one ever has to go through something like this. I just want Johnny to leave me alone. I just want him to leave me alone. I've said that for years now, and I thought he would after 2020.
Objection, non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
What do you hope to reclaim after this is over?
Protecting the secret that I did for as long as I did has taken enough of my voice. Johnny has taken enough of my voice. I have the right to tell my story. I have the right to say what happened to me. I have the right to my voice and my name. He took it long enough. I have a right as an American to talk about what happened to me, to own my story and my truth. I have that right. I hope to get my voice back. It's all I want. And I've said that from day one.
Thank you, Amber. I don't have anything else.
All right, cross-examination.
Actually, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Heard, you just testified that this case has been very hard for you. So let's talk about that and why.
All right.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
You sat here and told this jury that the events in Hicksville started with Mr. Depp getting really upset about a woman leaning on you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's effectively what happened, yeah.
You testified that he actually grabbed that woman's wrist and twisted it, right?
And told her that he could effectively break her wrist by saying he knew how many pounds of pressure, or asking her how many pounds of pressure it took to break a human wrist.
But your own witness, your former best friend, Rocky Pennington, she didn't corroborate that, did she?
I'm not quite sure what part of that night she saw. There were a lot of people there.
She didn't testify that Mr. Depp grabbed anyone's wrist in Hicksville.
Again, I don't know what Rocky saw. There were a lot of people there that night.
You testified that once you brought Mr. Depp back to your trailer, he trashed it, correct?
That is correct.
And the manager of the Hicksville trailer park was furious that Johnny had wrecked the whole thing. Do you remember that testimony?
That's correct.
Well, we heard from that manager of the Hicksville trailer park, Morgan Knight, on Monday, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure who that guy was or if he had any involvement in this. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to be involved.
So you're accusing Mr. Knight of testifying and committing perjury?
I'm not accusing anyone. I just don't recognize that man.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was upset with Mr. Depp spending time away from him. Isn't that correct?
How would he know? He wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there. He doesn't know. And he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors, like most people.
So you're calling Mr. Knight a liar?
I am saying he wasn't there, and what he testified to doesn't match what I know happened. But I don't fault him. He wasn't there, so how would he know?
He testified he was there, Ms. Heard. Did you hear that?
That's his testimony, yes.
So you're calling him a liar?
I'm just saying he wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that the trailer wasn't trashed, and that's why you're calling him a liar.
He testified that a light fixture was broken, similar to the way that
Yes,
Johnny's
other than a light
employees
fixture, that
testified
was the
to
only
my
thing that was
closet
broken,
being
right, Ms.
rearranged
Heard?
and things
Ms.
like
Heard,
that.
the only thing that was broken in the trailer, according to Mr. Knight, was a light fixture. Yes or no?
I realized that he summed it up by saying a light fixture was broken, just the way his security guard summed up him trashing my closet as being rearranged.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike everything after he summed it up that it was a light fixture as non-responsive.
She answered the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
In the security guard testimony, Your Honor?
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Mr. Knight also testified that he charged Mr. Depp only $62 for the damaged light fixture. You heard that, correct?
I did.
In Hicksville, you were the only one that was jealous that Mr. Depp was spending time from other people. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
That is incorrect.
In Hicksville, you were the one who was upset that Mr. Depp wasn't giving you enough attention.
Incorrect again.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. I question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-party TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood Ms. Vasquez. I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty. Even though I had given Johnny's team notice that I was filing
Objection.
a TRO,
Your Honor, this is
we had
non-responsive.
no reason to
Move
believe
to
the
strike.
press knew.
And Your Honor, I would also ask that you instruct the witness to please stop talking once I lodge an objection.
Your Honor, she's trying to answer the question as best she can, and Ms. Vasquez is misrepresenting to her what she testified to.
Well, I'll strike the last part as non-responsive.
Thank you,
Just if you could just answer the questions asked. Okay, thank you, Ms. Heard.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes.
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
Incorrect. It was
You knew the
horrifying.
press would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Heard?
No.
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up. In case. And
You actually
I'm glad
had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp. that very
No,
day,
I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I never
heard
did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I was here.
Yes. And you heard Mr. Tremaine's testimony that he knew to dispatch the paparazzi to the courthouse on May 27th, right?
I heard him say that he knew that, yes.
Yeah, and that he dispatched paparazzi to the courthouse to capture a picture of an alleged bruise on the right side of your face. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that.
That information must have come from your team, right, Ms. Heard?
Absolutely not. Why would I want that? What actual survivor of domestic violence wants that?
Now, the video of Mr. Depp beating up some kitchen cabinets, you admit that you took that video, correct?
Yes, I did.
Right. And you acknowledge that the video was released online the day before you were deposed in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp in August of 2016, right?
I believe it was, yes.
But you testified that you had absolutely nothing to do with the video's release, right?
Absolutely not.
And you testified that you learned about it when you landed after flying into LA. Do you remember that testimony?
Upon touchdown is when I was alerted to the video's
You
existence
heard Mr.
online.
Tremaine testify about this video as well yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ received the cabinet video the same day you landed at LAX. Yes?
I don't know if that's what his testimony was. I'm sorry.
You heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the cabinet video was posted 15 minutes after TMZ received it. Yes?
That's what I heard him say.
And that this could only have been possible if the video was received directly from the source. Yes?
I heard him say that. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible because
And
it
you
didn't come
heard
from me. I was
Mr.
flying.
Tremaine
So
testify.
I know that's incorrect is what I mean to say.
Another liar on the stand.
I just know that that's incorrect.
Right. And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ owns the copyright to the cabinet video, right?
That's news to me.
The cabinet video you filmed of your then husband. Yes?
The copyright ownership of that is news to me. I learned that yesterday.
It's the cabinet video that you captured of your then husband. Yes?
That is correct. I did capture that video, and
The
yes,
cabinet
that was
video-
my husband.
The same cabinet video that was released the night before you were deposed in your divorce. Yes?
That's correct.
Okay. You must have also heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the version of the cabinet video that TMZ received was incomplete compared to the video the jury saw in this trial. Did you hear that?
The video that that you have seen is complete.
Right. But the one TMZ got the day before your deposition in the divorce was incomplete.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
He testified that at the beginning portion of the video where you set up the camera, that wasn't included in the video that TMZ received.
I don't know what video TMZ
I'm talking
received.
about Mr. Tremaine's testimony, Ms. Heard. Let's just
So you're
focus on
asking me
Mr.
to
Tremaine.
repeat his testimony?
No, I'm asking you if you recall hearing him say those words to this jury.
Yes,
Under oath.
I heard his testimony. We all did.
And he testified that the end of the video where you can be seen smirking. I know you testified earlier that you haven't been smirking in this trial, but you sure were caught on camera smirking in that video.
I disagree with that.
Was also not included in the TMZ video.
Everyone can watch that video and you can determine whether you think it's funny to me or not.
That's because the video came from you, right, Ms. Heard?
No, it did not.
You
That
edited
video
out
did
the
not
portions.
come to me.
Ms. Heard,
Come from me.
Ms. Heard, you edited out the portions that made you look bad before sending it to TMZ.
You're very wrong about that.
So that
if I
only
wanted to
Mr.
leak
Depp
information, I
looked
could have
bad.
done it in a more effective way, a lot sooner and a lot more.
Because you
I
knew
was
exactly
living
how
with
to
a
do that,
mountain
right?
of this evidence. If I wanted to leak it, I could have done a lot more with it.
I thought you testified earlier in this trial that you didn't know how to leak things.
I
Remember
don't.
that? Right. You edited that video before you gave it to TMZ so that only Mr. Depp would look bad. Yes?
That's absurd.
Right in the middle of your divorce proceedings.
Again, you're very wrong.
I'd like to show you a picture that's already admitted into evidence. It's Defendant's Exhibit 799. This is you at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, when you got your domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
It is.
And next to you is a woman named Jody Gottlieb, right?
Yes.
Jody Gottlieb is your publicist.
And dear friend.
Now I'd like to show you what's been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1316. This is a picture of you and your friend Rocky Pennington, right?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to move to admit this photograph.
Any objection to 1316?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 1316 in evidence. You can publish to the jury.
This is a picture of you on May 28th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know when this was taken.
This is the day after you obtained the domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
I have no idea when this image was taken. I did not take it.
There's no bruise on your face in this picture, is there?
Again, I don't know when this was taken, and also I'm outside. I was obviously wearing makeup. I have no idea when this was taken, so I have no idea if I can
Let's
speak to
refresh your
what
recollection.
bruise you can see
Let's
or not.
refresh your recollection about when this picture was taken. Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1315, just for the witness? This is an article dated May 30th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's what it says, yes.
And this article contains the same photograph of you and Ms. Pennington we were just looking at, yes?
Yes, I see that.
And the article is entitled, Amber Heard Smiles as She Puts Arm Around Friend One Day After Getting Restraining Order Against Johnny Depp. Is that what the title says?
I know that's what the title says, yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit and publish the article with everything but the headline and date and the photo redacted.
Objection, Your Honor. That's inconsistent from the way you've treated all of these.
I'll sustain the objection. All right, next question.
Let's take a look at picture Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317. This is also a picture of you and Ms. Pennington on May 28th, 2016, isn't it?
I don't know when this photo was taken, but it looks like the same outing as the picture prior.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit and publish Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317.
Any objection?
No, Your
All
Honor.
right, 1317 in evidence. You can publish.
There's no bruise on your face in this picture either, right?
I disagree. If it is taken when you represent it was taken, then obviously there's a bruise on my face. It's covered by makeup, as per usual.
Let's zoom out of that picture for a moment, please. Thanks, Tom. That's Josh Drew in this picture, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Ms. Pennington
That is correct.
in there too?
That
Ms.
is
Pennington submitted a sworn statement on your behalf in support of your domestic violence restraining order, didn't she?
I believe she did, yes.
Mr. Drew also submitted a statement in support of your domestic violence restraining order.
I believe they both did, yes.
Ms. Heard, I'd like to show you Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is already in evidence. You've seen this photograph before, right?
I have.
On the second day of your direct testimony, you testified that this was taken in the downstairs of the main apartment on December 15th, 2015. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I believe so.
So it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to Penthouse 5 that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident. Yes?
I'm not quite sure from what incident this is when I see this photo in a vacuum without context.
Let's give you that context. Can we please, thanks, if I could have day 16 trial testimony? Your Honor, may we approach?
All right.
Could you please turn first to page 4585?
Sorry, one sec.
Specifically starting on line 16, where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015.
You said 458. I'm on 4485. Sorry, you said 4585.
4585.
Pardon.
Line 16. line 16 where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you see that your testimony about December 15th, 2015 follows?
Let's see. It's just the first line or two. Yes.
Okay. Now I'd like you to turn to page 4603. Starting at line 12. 4603. Starting at line 12 and going on to page 4604, line 4.
Okay.
And do you see that you testify that Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is on the screen,
Yes.
is a picture of the downstairs of the main apartment?
That's correct.
And the main apartment is Penthouse 5 in the Eastern Columbia building, right?
No, well, depends on what, the main apartment's penthouse 3 generally when we say main apartment.
Penthouse 5 was where you had your closet?
The downstairs was kind of like had some of my painting studio set up and a reception area. Upstairs was the closet.
Got it.
Mezzanine office was in between.
All right, so it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to the penthouse, Penthouse 5, that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident, right?
I'm just not sure from which incident this is a picture of, since I'm only looking at
Even
a
though your
partial
counsel
floor.
was asking you questions about December 15th, 2015, and then admitted this picture into evidence
Again,
in relation to that incident.
Sorry, go ahead.
In relation to that incident on December 15th, 2015. This exhibit, Defendant's Exhibit, you are the defendant, number 512, was admitted into evidence in this court. You testified that this was the result of damage that occurred on December 15th, 2015. Yes or no?
I just need to orient myself because I'm just looking at a picture of a partial
No,
picture of a
Ms.
floor.
Heard, you didn't just
so
look
I
at a
can't.
picture. You looked at your testimony.
You pointed me towards the page and then asked me a question. I haven't actually reviewed it. I don't know if this was submitted in relation to that incident.
Let's actually leave up Defendant's 512 and please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 725, which is already in evidence
Thank you.
in redacted form, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You can publish.
Just side by side. You've seen this photograph as well, right?
I have.
On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilled wine in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, didn't you?
Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor. So unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your
it
Honor
then
did.
so we could get context?
That's how it's in evidence.
That's how
All
it's in
right.
evidence.
Next question.
Well, the metadata next to it is so that
Ms.
to
Heard,
avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard,
confusion.
there is no question pending, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought you had asked
inappropriate.
me about it.
No, I didn't ask you about anything. Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's turn to page 4750 in day 17 transcript.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
4750. Specifically line 16. Do you see where Ms. Bredehoff asked you to describe for the jury what took place on May 21st, 2016?
I see that.
And do you see that your testimony is reflected about May 21, 2015
Yes.
that follows? Okay.
Yes.
Now let's turn to page 4804. at line 14. 4804. Starting at line 14
Yes.
through 4805, line 4.
Going to what line?
Line 4 at 4805. Do you see that you're testifying that defendant's exhibit 725, which is reflected on the right side, reflects spilled wine on the floor in penthouse 5?
That's correct.
Okay, and defendant's exhibit 512 and 725 seem to be different versions of the same picture, don't they?
That's correct.
Okay, so which is it? Which one was taken on December 15th, 2015, or May 21st, 2016?
If you remove the redacted metadata, you can find out. It's right there.
Or if you're telling the truth, you would know.
Recognize a portion of spilled wine on a floor, and I'm supposed to know off the top of my head when you've
No.
lived through 5 years of this stuff? I don't think so. That's not how that works.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Ms. Hurd, at the beginning of your cross-examination
Your
last
Honor, may
week,
we approach?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, I would ask that there be no words or no phrases, no words, no sounds at all coming from you. If I hear one more sound, I will clear the gallery and we will continue this testimony without anybody in the courtroom. Understood? Good. All right, your next question.
Ms. Hurd, at the beginning of your cross-examination last week, I showed you an audio where you told Mr. Depp to tell the jury, tell the judge, tell the world that he is a victim of domestic abuse. Do you remember that?
That's correct.
And you testified you found it hard to believe that Mr. Depp would tell the world that he's a victim of domestic abuse, didn't you?
I said I find it hard to believe that he would do that knowing that he himself had beat me up for 5 years.
But he has told the world that he's your victim of domestic abuse, hasn't he?
Well, he started to say that only recently. He didn't make that claim up until very recently. So when we signed our divorce agreement and we signed a statement saying that neither party had ever said false claims for financial gain, it was relevant and important to me because I was the only one making the accusations. I was the only one making those claims. He wasn't doing that at the time, and he signed his name to it.
You didn't expect as many people to show up and testify on his behalf that did you?
Incorrect.
When you told this jury under oath that you never assaulted, actually, strike that. Sorry. When you told this jury under oath that you punched Mr. Depp because you thought of Mr. Depp pushing Kate Moss down the stairs, you didn't expect Miss Moss to agree to testify that never happened, did you?
Incorrect. I know how many people will come out of the woodwork to be in support of Johnny.
So
It
you
is
think
clear
Miss
by this
Moss
courtroom
needs
how
to
many
come
people
out
will
of the
do that.
woodwork to testify for Mr. Depp?
Everybody who was around in the 90s and the early aughts knew that rumor. I had heard that rumor from multiple people. Of course, that's what flashed through my head when my violent husband not only swung for me, but all of a sudden swung for my sister. Of course I thought of that. I did not expect her to show up or not expect her to show up. It didn't matter. It doesn't change what I believed at the time when we were on the stairs and I thought he was going to kill my sister by pushing her down the stairs.
You told this jury under oath that Mr. Depp was aggressive and trashed a trailer in Hicksville. You didn't expect the manager of the Hicksville property, Morgan Knight, to come forward and testify that was untrue, did you?
Incorrect. I've already been through trials with this man. I know how many people will come out in support of him.
when you told this jury under oath that you had no idea that the paparazzi would be at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, you didn't expect a TMZ employee to show up to testify that TMZ had been alerted that you would be at the courthouse and knew exactly which side of your face to take a picture of, did you?
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people will come out in support of him and will fall to his power? He is a very powerful man, and people love currying favor with powerful men.
Currying
and I know
favor
that
and
firsthand. I've
risking
lived
jail
it.
time for committing perjury?
Excuse me? I didn't hear your
You
question.
didn't hear
Excuse
my
me?
question?
Ms. Vasquez, if you do mind,
Curry-
please just repeat the question. I didn't hear you.
Curry favor and commit perjury in this courtroom?
I have
For a
seen people
powerful
do this.
man?
I have seen people do this time and time again. That's why I wrote the op-ed.
You didn't expect Ben King, the house manager in Australia, to show up from England. He flew from England to testify that Mr. Depp's fingertip was found exactly where he said it would be. Did you?
I have never heard Johnny testify to knowing where his finger was, or really, frankly, making a claim that he knew where it was when it was found. I've never heard Johnny claim that.
You didn't expect
Johnny
Keenan
doesn't-
Wyatt.
Johnny has never
Ms.
actually
Heard.
said that.
Ms. Heard.
And
I think the
Ben
jury
King,
can,
yes.
Ms. Heard, there's no question pending. You didn't expect Keenan Wyatt, Mr. Depp's longtime sound technician, to show up and testify that Mr. Depp is not being fed lines through his earpieces, but instead music, did you?
Not that it matters much, but of course I did. I know how his employees treat him.
So you
I know how
probably-
his team treats him. Of course I expected that.
Okay, so you probably expected Isaac Baruch to come and testify for Mr. Depp, right?
I'm not sure I thought about that.
Yeah. But you didn't expect Mr. Baruch to weep for Mr. Depp after what you've put him through and so many others with your lies,
I
did you?
relate to Isaac because he and I are
There's
the
no
only
further
ones who have
questions, Your
cried
Honor.
on this stand.
Nothing further.
All right. Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Heard, if Mr. Baruch felt misled, who misled him?
Johnny, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him from crying. This is horrible.
Ms. Vasquez has suggested that you faked bruises on your face. Is that true?
Absolutely not. I didn't need to.
Did you ever fake an injury caused by Mr. Depp?
No.
Is any of the evidence of your injuries that has been put to the jury in this trial fake?
No, absolutely not.
And to the extent that there may be some confusion over when a picture of spilled wine was taken, why might that be?
Objection.
Because there's so
Lack
many-
of foundation.
Overruled.
Because there's so many incidents of violence. There's so many pictures. There's so much evidence. Most people don't have this kind of evidence for years, 5 years. And when I was saying that to Johnny on the phone in that recording, I was saying for years this has been going on. And I have pictures, we have texts, we have everything. Normally you don't get this amount of evidence. That's what I was pointing out to Johnny. It would be crazy to try to challenge this in this way. It's crazy. It's easy to not know the context of a picture of spilled wine because there are so many more important details, pictures, and also so much I didn't photograph, so much I didn't have the presence of
Objection,
mind to document.
non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Did Mr. Depp abuse you physically?
Yes,
Verbally?
yes,
Emotionally?
yes,
Psychologically?
yes.
How did the threats that Mr. Depp made against you individually years ago resemble what you've endured as a result of the Depp-Waldman statements?
Beyond the scope of cross, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Johnny promised me he would ruin me, that he'd ruin my career, he'd take my life from me. Death was the only way out. And if I got out, this is what he'd do to me. He'd make me think of him every single day. He promised me global humiliation. You saw those texts. What he couldn't do, the work of one individual, meaning Johnny, when he was inviting a disgruntled employee over for a spot of purple to fix my flabby ass up, that revenge that he sought back then was just what he could do as an individual, calling the studio to get me fired, trying to block camp.
Objection, Your
block me
Honor.
from
Lack of
working.
foundation, speculation, hearsay,
all in
non-responsive.
I'll sustain as to non-response.
Ms. Hurd, how did those things that you just testified to that Mr. Depp did, how did those resemble what happened to you after the Depp-Waldman counterclaim statements were made?
Those are
Objection, Your
just-
Honor. Lack of foundation.
She's,
Overruled.
thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Those are just an echo of what I'm living through today. It's like what I'm living in right now. What you see in this courtroom is an echo. This courtroom and the other courtroom he dragged me into to do the same thing again. That's just an echo of the violence and the abuse that I suffered within our relationship. The campaigns to have me fired, the blocking me to try to ruin my career, the threats he's made to humiliate me globally are being lived out in real time in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, for the past 6 weeks and for the whole world since our camera's here.
No further questions. Thank you so much, Amber.
All right, Ms. Hurd, you can have a seat next to your attorneys. If I could have the attorneys approach. All right, your next witness.
Your Honor, the counterclaimant Amber Heard rests.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard all the evidence you're going to hear in this matter. What I propose doing is to go ahead and give you the rest of the afternoon off so you can have a good restful afternoon and evening, and we will do closing arguments tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and then the case will be submitted to you for deliberations. Just to give you a little logistics of how that will go, tomorrow I won't give you a time limit as far as how long you can deliberate in the afternoon into the evening. I will tell you, within reason, I will tell you I do not serve dinner, so keep that in mind, okay? You will not be deliberating on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, because Monday is a holiday. I would like you to have you back here Tuesday morning, at least by 9 o'clock. If you want to come earlier, that's up to you. You can decide as a group if you want to come earlier than 9 o'clock, but you have to be here at least by 9 o'clock to resume your deliberations again. And again on Tuesday night, and if you have to go to Wednesday or Thursday, that the time that when you take your breaks is up to you, as long as you take them together as far as not having any deliberations unless all of the jurors are in the room at the same time. When you take your lunch is up to you. And then again in the evening, within reason, I'll let you go as long as you'd like to go, okay? So have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, okay? Do not discuss the case with anybody. Don't do any outside research. All right. We'll go ahead and take a modified lunch recess just till 12:50. We'll come back at 12:50. We just have a few jury instructions left we have to do. Make sure we get the verdict form taken care of. I want you to review the laptop that we have mocked up and make sure everybody agrees what's on it. And also I want you to look through all your exhibits and make sure we're all on the same page before you leave. I'll make sure you have copies of the jury instructions in the order that I'm going to read them, and you should be able to prepare for your closing arguments for tomorrow, okay? All right, we'll see you at 12:50 then.
All rise.